Flowers of Evil is a disturbing story. It creates that horrible feeling at the bottom of your stomach, the feeling you get when you know something's not quite right. The Flowers of Evil is a writing masterpiece, and today I'm going to be talking about what I believe the moral of this story is, and how we can apply that same moral to our own lives. Warning, this video contains spoilers for The Flowers of Evil. If you've not yet read the manga, then please don't watch this video until you have. The main character from The Flowers of Evil is Kusaga. Kusaga is in love with a girl from his class called Saki. He'd had a crush on her for over a year. Kusaga was walking home one evening when he realised he'd left his book in the classroom. He was walking quietly through the empty school when Saki's gym clothes dropped onto the floor. In a moment of perversion, Kusaga decided to steal the gym clothes, but little did he know, Sawa, another girl from his class, was hiding beneath one of the desks. Sawa dangled the threat of exposing Kusaga over his head. She blackmailed him into doing perverse things, and took pleasure in watching his personality crumble away. And Kusaga lived with a constant fear in the back of his mind that Sawa could expose him at any moment. Throughout the story, we're led to believe that Sawa is a cold-hearted, violent psychopath. She takes pleasure in beating and bullying Kusaga, or making him do sick and twisted things. She lives her whole life craving adrenaline and never feeling the consequences. But at the end of the story, we discover Sawa was never a psychopath at all, quite the opposite in fact. She was actually living with horrible anxiety the whole time. She didn't see people as human beings, she saw them as distorted monsters, and that's why she never cared about them or their opinions. She couldn't relate or communicate with anyone. But that afternoon, when she saw Kusaga sniff Saki's gym clothes, she could see his real face. She saw him for who he really was. And from that moment on, Kusaga was the only person she could relate to. The reason she forced him to do sick things was because she was afraid he was going to turn normal and turn back into a monster like everybody else. But Kusaga also hates the town he lives in. He sees himself as being special, while the people around him are dull and boring. One evening, Sawa points over the top of the mountains, and she asks Kusaga to take them both to the other side, so they can both escape the town they're trapped in. The perverted side of Kusaga's personality enjoys serving Sawa. He gets sucked in deeper and deeper into her dark world. He watches her sadistic face start smiling as they vandalise the classroom together, and he steals all the girls' panties, intending to paint them all red and hang them up at the festival. But ultimately, he gets caught and fails, and so, the two of them decide to end their own lives together. Fortunately, they just about manage to save each other before they do. A few years pass in the story, and Kusaga and Sawa have been separated in different cities. The trauma Kusaga experienced crushed his personality. He had no confidence and no meaning in his life. He had no character and no ambition, and walked around like a zombie. He couldn't stop thinking about Sawa, and he allowed himself to get tortured by his past. His past was burning him alive, only allowing Kusaga to experience brief moments of happiness before he crawled back inside his shell. Kusaga felt like he had no reason to live, but before he could find that reason, he knew he would have to let go of the past. He would have to visit Sawa one last time to get some closure. Kusaga is happy to see that Sawa has been doing well, and she's moving into a better place herself. Therefore, Kusaga feels ready to let go, and move on from his past mistakes. When Kusaga falls asleep that night, he dreams about a happy future. A future where he's married to Aya, his new girlfriend, and they're both best-selling authors. Whether or not this dream comes true is irrelevant. What's important is that by letting go and forgiving himself for his past mistakes, Kusaga regained personality and began focusing on the meaningful aspects of his life. Once again, he had a reason to live. And I think the best moral lesson from this story was self-forgiveness, and forgiving ourselves for the mistakes we've made in the past. When we allow the past to hang over our heads, it's difficult to live life to the fullest in the moment. But when we properly confront our past mistakes, accept them, and forgive ourselves, we allow ourselves to grow and live more meaningful lives.